What's up YouTube, this is Fate, bringing you another deck profile, and today I'm going to be showing you my Odd Eyes Dracopal Magician to build. Now, seeing that a lot of these variants of builds tap all over in tournaments, I wanted to try to make a super combination of all these builds, as well as put my own little bit of takes to the build here and there, as well as not just focusing on one style, but when one of the strategies gets stopped, another can rise up, counterattack, and take its place. Without further ado, let's get to the profile. For the Magicians, I decided to start off with only two Dragonpit Magicians, as well as two Dragonpulse Magicians. As much as Dragonpit does a really good amount for the Magician's side of things, as well as spell and trap destruction, I am starting to see Dragonpulse Magician play a bigger role in this build. Not only to facilitate the level 4 monster plays with the Draco Slayers and whatnot, but other builds such as Monarchs or other builds that have just pure high attack monsters without self-protection. Dragonpulse Magician definitely plays a big role, but I still recommend at minimum 2 Dragonpit Magicians because, especially with the Spell Searcher or just by drawing it, you will need to spell and trap destruction. I also run only 2 Oafdragon Magician for a couple reasons. A, I don't have as much of a focus on the rank 6 aspect or hardly any of it for my extra decks concerned. And B, you do share a bunch of other archetypes along with this deck, so Oafdragon Magician doesn't get as much of recurrence, but when it does, you usually get off the spell cards that you search for anyway, so you don't want to see him top deck in the dead draw, but you do still want 2 in this build just to keep him as active as possible. And then for the other Magicians, you play 1 Wisdom Eye, of course, 1 Nobledragon Magician just to get off that surprise synchro play, and 1 Timebreaker Magician because Bombless Trap Hole is a serious threat to anything Pendulum based, and Timebreaker Magician, when it's in the Pendulum scale, helps protect your Pendulum monsters from that first destruction. Onto the Performapal engine, I run triple Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer. And this card, if you don't know what it does already, target 2 cards you control when it's special summoned and search for 2 other Performapal monsters from your deck to your hand. This card just facilitates way too many speed and search combos that you need this hands down. You also play 1 Skullcrobat Joker, aka the Strauss of Performapals. Performapal Monkeyboard, there's a reason why this got limited to 1 along with Skullcrobat Joker. And the Pot of Greed combo in Performapal Guitartle with 2 Performapal Lizardraws. Then on to the Odd Eyes engine, you run at least double Performapal Odd Eyes Unicorn, just because you do have a pretty strong Performapal basis and Odd Eyes Dragon in this build, so it's pretty common that you will pull off the high attack OTK combo with this monster right here. You also run 1 Light Phoenix to prevent OTK plays, as well as have that extra low scale search. And 2 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragons itself. Originally I was playing 3 in this build, but 3 tended to clog up. And 2 seem to be that's a good number since you do run a healthy dose of Sky Iris in this build. And then for the Draco Slayers, you run 1 Luster Pendulum, triple Master Pendulum, and then you run 2 Vector and 1 Lector. And the reason why I like having the 1 Lector in here is I'm commonly seeing that you want to have the ability to somewhat guarantee your high or low scale with Draco face-off. And from what I've been seeing and doing with this guy against Magispector players, it's just fun and hilarious. That is it for the monsters. On to the spells. I personally run triple Sky Iris. Mostly because I want to see this card as often as possible for the continuation of the combos. Plus, the field card itself is an extra pot for Performapal Pendulum Sorcerer if you don't want to nuke both of your Pendulum zones. It's just a really good facilitator card in my book. And of course you run the one Odd Eyes fusion with it because Vortex Dragon is amazing. And then for the other spells you run triple Pendulum Call to consistently get your Magicians out. And one Draco Face-Off for your Draco Slayers and Dracoverlords. And then for the other two general spells, you run double Twin Twister for back row hate, and one Regeki because I like clearing stuff. And because this build is more focused on offense, I don't run any traps. If you can get all of your combos as consistent as possible with this build, you can generally OTK your opponent or defend against them pretty easily. That's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. For my rank 4s, I play one Abyss Dweller, needs the control against BAs and other builds. One Digestal Emerald to help facilitate the graveyard. Ascending Magispector Paladin, Ascending Draco Slayer to help get those key Pendulum monsters that you need when you need them. One Performapal Trapeze Magician because you do run a very healthy amount of level 4 spellcasters. And the Utopia Lightning combo. And then for the rank 7s, you run one Red Eyes Formidable Dragon. You don't go into the rank 7s as much, but when you do, you generally like to torture your opponent a little bit to make them hurt themselves before they even hurt you. And then you run one Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon and one Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon that don't see myself getting this guy out too much, but this is a good natural out to Cosmo Dark Destroyer and just the general Cosmo plays, as well as being those easy 2 monsters sent to the graveyard for the Odd Eyes fusion. And then for the remaining rank 8, you gotta run Titanic if you run the Draco Slayers for the spell negates. For the 2 Synchro monsters, you run one Ignister and one Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon. You generally don't go into Synchro summoning too much unless you're using Luster. But I can include Odd Eyes Meteor Burst in here for 2 reasons. A, Nobledragon Magician's in here so you can easily get off that Synchro play and stop opponent's monster effects. And B, you can have the extra targets to pitch from the extra deck with Odd Eyes Fusion and just combo off with Absolute Dragon later. And then for the fusion monsters, I run 2 Dinosaur the Mighty Draco Slayers to help with the Titanic combo to bring out the spell negate himself, as well as being that general protector for your Pendulum monsters. And one Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon because he is one nasty control monster, and considering how much you destroy your own zones and search through your build, it's extremely hard to find yourself running out of materials for this guy's negation power. And with that, that is my Odd Eyes Dracopal Magician deck profile. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And until next time.